Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all doing good on this fine day. This is your host, Emily, and welcome to Pizzartizans Product Placement Game Show. I am joined by these wonderful cast members. Let's meet them one by one. Alright, so to start off, we have Stella. Unfortunately, she is our team leader, but she is absent today because she is really sick. So we'll be taking over her parts as per why we're looking at our phones for her parts. And then I'll pass it off.
I'm Young. Nice to meet you guys.
Hi, my name is Angela.
I'm Emily.
I'm Zara. I'm Catherine. And I'm Angel.
Alright, that's all our cast members. We will all take part in making these games come to life today, so make sure you remember all of us. Our educational game show will teach you the ins and outs of product placement, starting from the basics to more advanced knowledge, all while you compete in your respective teams to win our ultimate prize. Before each game, we will first teach you the necessary information about product placement so that you can immediately put your learnings to use. Now, please move around and sit next to your group mates as you all have done already. And in each game, the group leader will be responsible for raising their hand and answering questions for the team. Alright, moving on to our grand prize. Since Chinese New Year is approaching, teams that place in first and second will win our specially prepared red packets, which contain sweet chocolate and even money as well. So if you want a sweet, good luck start to the new year, try your best with the team in our games. Before we begin, we would like to dedicate this segment to our greatest sponsor, MAD, led by CEO Dr. Kenneth. Without your engaging teachings, this show would not have been possible. Now let's wait no more and begin our show.
Okay, so the most important question to start off with, what exactly is product placement? It is a form of marketing strategy where a brand or commercial product is incorporated into a piece of non-advertising media content to increase brand visibility and reach intended target audience. A piece of non-advertising media in this case means that its main purpose and intent is not to sell or advertise a commercial product, thus differentiating them from traditional advertisements. Let's look at two examples. In the Avengers Age of Ultron movie, Black Widow was seen driving and hopping off a motorcycle branded Harley Davidson in one of the action sequences. Harley Davidson is in fact one of the world's largest motorcycle manufacturers. Another example would be Heineken, one of the well-known beers globally. In the movie Skyfall, the main character, James Bond, and other characters are often seen consuming bottles of Heineken in different scenes. Since the movie's main purpose is to entertain, not advertise, the inclusion of both brands in movies are considered product placements. Now, other than movies, product placements can also appear in television shows. These two are the most common forms of media content to feature product placements. Though you can also find product placement in music videos and video games, product placements can appear by having their product displayed on screen, like the can of Coca-Cola in Stranger Things, or having Ariana Grande use the Samsung Galaxy Note 5 in her 2015 music video, Focus. It can also be a brief mention of the product name by actors in the movie or TV show. In rarer cases, it is fully integrated into media to contribute a structural part of the non-advertising media content. In the Lego movie, the story is set in the world of Lego, and therefore Lego as a product becomes part of the story. In Super Mario Kart, Mercedes-Benz is a playable vehicle that can be controlled by the player while you navigate through the courses. The fun experience is driving in the game. Mercedes-Benz adds to the overall entertainment value of the game. You may wonder how much money a short product placement cameo would bring, and it is more than you think. In the 1982 E.T. movie, the alien E.T. loves eating sweets, and the main character Elliot lures E.T. with a trail of Reese's Pieces, turning the Reese's Pieces into E.T.'s favorite candy. As the movie and the characters were beloved by the audience, Reese's Pieces skyrocketed to popularity and reported a 65% profit increase and brought in millions for the company. As good as this may sound, great profit also comes with great costs. Reese's Pieces collaboration with the movie already costed $1 million to be made possible. As time progresses, modern product placements cost even more featured in media, especially popular movies and series with guaranteed larger audience. Harley Davidson paid $10 million to land in the Avengers, while Heineken paid a hefty $45 million to be showcased across the movie.
So to continue with Stella's part, so here's the question. Why are brands willing to pay so much money on this marketing strategy? There are three goals that brands believe product placement could achieve. which is create connection with audience. When a character that the audience identifies with is shown using a brand's product, the audience is likely to form a positive impression towards the brand and more inclined to follow those characters' behavior by using the showcase product. This form of emotional attachment generated between the audience and the brand is difficult to achieve through traditional marketing strategies. For a rich rider range of audiences, since consumers don't normally consume their products, can also enjoy popular media content, inserting their products inside allows for greater potential reach and thus attract new consumers and expand into new markets. For increased brand recognition, when the audience is frequently exposed to the brand in different types of media, the more significant it becomes in the mind of consumers. A well-known brand has the highest chance to become the first choice for consumers and thus boost sales. Looking at the real-life example, I'm sure everyone remembers the Barbie versus Oppenheimer times back in 2023. In the Barbie movie, Chanel collaborated with the costume designer of the movie, and their pieces were featured in many Barbie's iconic looks. For an audience who identified with the character Barbie, they would love to dress like her and recreate her outfit. Since the movie was able to reach worldwide audience, it also helped to bring a lot of Chanel's pieces to the global spotlight and introduce the brand to those who were never into luxury fashion, strengthening the significance of the brand in the luxury fashion industry. Now that all of you know the basics of product placement, let's quickly hop into our game rounds. There will be 3 rounds with 3 games in total. Round 1, game time and match. Round 2, brand recall rally. And round 3 for final bonus. To make sure to pay attention to the product placements we've placed throughout our entire show. What I mean is that we will have real-life examples of product placement as we present our show. So you'll have to identify how many product placement we have shown you guys at the end of the presentation for bonus points.
Okay, so now we're going to start our first game. So next we will display 5 paragraphs of text, and it shows the development of product placement in different periods, and the timeline will be from the 1930s to 2020s, and you will have 50 seconds to read each paragraph and matching the periods, and I'll write down on the blackboard.
Black color, the black marker, that will be what you should look at.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe we'll start first. Just remember the periods.
Yeah.
Thank you. And okay, so first paragraph. The product placement had become cemented into the varieties show and TV dramas. One of the most famous product placement in the TV show, I Love Lucy, featured various branded products, including Philips, television, and Coca-Cola.
Alright, so work in your teams to guess which time this was.
What's your answer?
1950 to 60.
Oh, yeah.
Raise your hand first. Louder.
1950 and another group. What's your answer? Yeah. And this group? What's your answer? And every group need one answer to 1950.
1950?
Yeah. Okay. You both got correct answers. So next, the early form forms of product placement primarily involve the use of text logos or product appearance. For example, film would feature brand name or logos, or character would use basic branded products. 1930s and 1940s, yeah, and yeah, and 1980, okay, and this group, 1990s. And this group, what's your answer? Oh, same group, sorry. Okay, and
1930.
okay.
Because you guys answered first for the first two rounds, we're gonna give you guys prizes.
Okay, and the next paragraph, the product placement is part of integrated marketing combined with other marketing. Okay, it's done. Maybe this first. Yeah, what's your answer? It's this one. 2010. And what's your answer? Yeah.
2010.
Okay, and this group?
Yeah, 10 to 20.
Yeah. So you all got the correct answer is 2010 to 2020. And for the next paragraph, the rise of internet and what? Okay, then this group first.
1990 to 2000.
1990 to 2000. Okay, this group.
Yes,
Okay, and another group.
1990. 1990.
Okay. Yeah, it's 1990s to 2000s. Okay, and here is our last paragraph. Movies become the main form of product placement. Okay, this group first.
1970 to 1980.
Okay, and this group? What?
1970 to 80s.
Also 70 to 80.
Yeah, you're correct answer. Thank you. Okay, so now the game is over. I hope you can learn about the development history of product placement through this game. And next, we will compare the product placement in the past with current product placement to find out their difference. So the first one is in the past, the product implementation was mainly carried out through traditional media such as movie, television, programs, and radio. And nowadays, the media choice for product implementation are become more diverse. In addition to traditional media, it also includes digital media such as social media, streaming platforms, online videos, and the games. And second, in the past base, there are limited media options, and the traditional media has a relatively small reach range and a limited audience. And this impact the impact of the product implementation is limited by the audience size of a specific movies or TV programs. And nowadays, the popularization and global coverage of digital media enable product implementation to reach a wider audience, both globally and specifically. And second one is the product in the past, the product placement primarily to showcase products with brands seeking to enhance brand exposure through content integration. And in nowadays, the product placement prioritizes integrating product into the storyline and character emotions of the content, aiming to create emotional resonance with the audience and strengthen brand connection. Yes,
and now let's move to the cross-culture in product placement. So cross-culture communication refers to communication between people with different culture, perception, and symbol system. So in cross-culture communication, the most basic barrier between two cultures is the barrier of language and nonverbal symbols. And usually, culture is divided into two types, high context and low context. As you can see, most of the low context countries are the European country, like French, UK, United States, Canada, Germany, and Australia. And most of the high context countries are Asian countries like China, Korea, Japan, India, and Thailand. So as I mentioned previously, most Asian countries such as China, South Korea, and Japan are having high context culture. Their language usually generally more implicit and usually contain a lot of obscure information that needs situation assistance to convey. And for the low context culture, the information are mostly conveyed through external language, and the language appears more directly and objective. As you can see on the screen, here are some examples of local product placement and cross-cultural product placement. The picture on the left-hand side shows the product placement of 999, which is a Chinese co-medicine in Chinese costume drama, and there's Audi product placement in Marvel movie as well. And on the right-hand side shows the product placement of Chinese fast food 自嗨锅 and shopping website Jingdong in the Korean drama. So which means when the product aligns with the storyline, characters, background, and environmental setting, the audience is more likely to accept and understand its presence. Such placement would resonate with the storyline and not appear forced or overly promotion. And now we will watch a product advertisement of DNG together, and based on the ads, you guys can guess whether the product placement has positive or negative impact on the brand.
玛格丽特披萨饼，欢迎收看《Boss and Governor》奇快吃饭第1集。今天我们首先要向大家展示如何用这种小棍子形状的餐具来吃我们伟大的传统玛格丽特披萨饼。你们是不是一手拿一根像小刀一样切一块披萨饼呢？不是这样。对，这样就对了。所以就是像钳子一样夹住一块披萨饼，直接送进嘴里。哦，别让奶酪滴下来。Bravissimo！
So you guys can take 30 seconds to think about this, like if this advertisement give positive or negative impact to the brand in China. Can you give the reason?
I think it's have some discrimination. For the reason, discrimination for Chinese culture.
Another group, other groups. Other groups.
Maybe Facebook impact because I don't want to say anything wrong, but maybe it seems also like it is a bit disrespectful also to the Italian culture by using chopsticks, which I think many Italians would like, but I don't want to say anything.
How about other groups? Okay, so actually the correct answer is negative impact. Because we can see that on this advertisement, there's a Chinese woman wearing a new D&G dress and using chopstick to eat Italian foods. Actually, the original intention of this advertisement was to resonate with Chinese customers through the combination of Chinese customs and Western culture. However, the Chinese netizens have focused more on the lines, let's use these small stick-shaped things to eat our great tradition pizza than the dress. So they comment that the model's performance was very exaggerated and this line sounds very arrogant. So this reaction actually forced D&G to close most of its stores in China, and its products were removed from all the main e-commerce platforms as well as vlogging sites like Xiaohongshu and Weibo. This means that being aware of cultural norms and knowing the cultural context is crucial for the brand when they are doing product placement. And different culture may be sensitive regarding certain themes, symbols, or behavior. In product placement, it is important to avoid touching upon sensitive issues or triggering negative reaction that could lead to controversies or damage to brand image, like the D&G.
Thank you, Catherine and Angel, for the round one. By the way, Angel, I really like your Gucci scarf. I would really like to buy one for my mom. Okay, so this is round 2 brand recall rally. In this round, we'll be looking through 4 different product placement videos. And to spice it up, because the product placement might sometimes be very obvious, I covered up some of the audio and the visual parts of the product placement video, so you'll have to guess what the product placement is. We'll start with the audio.
Those fingers looking good.
Okay, do you guys want to answer?
KFC?
Yes, it is KFC. So this was the example of auditory product placement, which is when the product or brand is strategically featured on the audio-based content of the media. And many experts says that the auditory product placement is sometimes more effective than the visual product placement because audience don't really have to look at the screen to process the information. And for the scene we just watched, not only the actor said it's finger licking good, there was also the very delicious crunchy noise that also enhances the product placement. Let's look at the second one. You may raise your hand in the middle of the video if you get the answer.
Excuse me, young lady.
Okay. Yes.
Not quite.
Waffle.
Waffle.
Do you know what waffle? Yes. Yes, you got it right. It's Eggo waffles. So for this one, we call it visual product placement when the product is literally visible to us and within the media, products prominently featured or displayed. And it is very important that the product is not too intrusive or too overly exposed in the scene. And if we look at the scene, we can see that the product was placed in various ways. For example, the actors were eating it, and sometimes the actors were also eating it with different other product placements such as syrups and cream, and also the product was shown in a full packaging as well. Let's move on to the next one. For this one, we will be looking at 2 different video clips together. So you have to give me 2 answers at once. So please raise your hand after the end of 2 videos. Can you increase the quality of the video?
You, I missed you.
Thank you.
How strong is it?
Fairly strong. We haven't had the time to test it properly. Just be careful.
This is going to go brilliantly.
Do you go below?
2 years.
I thought you two would get along.
So next up is plug connection, but before introducing it, as my mouth is so dry, please allow me to have some of this magical drink. Not
Is it Carver?
That's more than that.
Okay.
Not quite. Any other guess? It wasn't.
Or is it just one product?
It's 2 products in total. One for the No Time to Die movie, and one for the World War Z zombie movie. Anyone can guess, or we will rewatch the video.
Let's guess the second one. The second one is the beer. Yeah. Oh, the cola. Yeah.
Pepsi.
Yeah.
Okay.
This first one. Let me guess. Maybe the watch. I saw his
Yes,
watch.
it is correct. Yes, it's Omega Watch. So plot connection is when the product is incorporated to the narrative and also the character development of the media. And this creates more lasting impacts compared to visual product placement because it is related to the movie itself. So when people remember the movie, they tend to also remember the product as well. And if we look at the scene, it was Omega Watch. So this is an example of a very good plot connection because after this movie was shown, the demand for Omega Watch rose by 44.6% for 6 months compared to last year. And if we look at the next slide, it was Pepsi. This is considered a very bad plot connection because after this was shown, many audience thought that it is ridiculous that the main character in a very serious situation got away from zombie apocalypse with a Pepsi vending machine. Now I'll pass the mic to Flora.
Okay, so as we dig into the world of auditory product placement, let us concentrate on the instant effects it has on our perception and brain recall. So actually, our brains are geared to respond quickly to noises, which frequently results in an immediate identification with a specific melody or sound effect. For example, recall the last time you heard a familiar jungle and immediately recognize the brand. That's because our auditory memory is strong and may swiftly elect both recognition and positive thoughts about the brand. A prime example is the unique Pornhub sound effect. I know this example might not be that popular, but from a perspective to marketing, they did a really successful job by the auditory product placement. So even without looking at the screen or any other device, once you heard their sound effect, you will know that it's them. So for the auditory product placement long-term effect, here I use the Stranger Things playlist from Spotify as an example. So imagine you are scrolling through your favorite social media platform while the show plays in the background, accompanied with a Spotify playlist. That's perfectly set for the moment, and it's not just background noise. Spotify employ deliberate auditory product placement to create an unforgettable soundtrack for our life. And also, by considering a song from virtual TikTok video that has stuck with you, it's more than simply pleasant music. It's a lesson in long-term auditory product placement. And Spotify and TikTok, they understand this power. They build playlists and also some hot reels for popular media that are as memorable as the show themselves. And taking the TV show Stranger Things as an example, it's not just a collection of music, it's an audio time collapse that transports you directly to Indiana. And this playlist linked to notable scenes has the potential to keep the program, the Spotify service, relevant in conversation and cultural long after the screen goes back. And in the world of marketing, what we've seen is just as important as what we hear. And our guest is drawn to the fresh and darling and the movie. This is the core of visual product placement. Consider the short-term consequences of visual product placement with Apple as an example. So if you're watching the Legally Blonde before, you can notice that while the character attend one of her lower courses at the Harvard University, she's actually using a MacBook from Apple company. And this is a great example of putting visual product placement in a short-term effect. So once in the real world, if you've ever seen the Apple product, which is MacBook, you will just take you back to the scene that which the character she used the MacBook for study or school. And let's move on to the long-term effects of visual product placement. So we will use Nike as an example. Consistent branding for big athletic events such as Olympics and other world championships is an example of long-term visual positioning. The famous swoosh embodied the athlete's clothes and also equipment, as well as Nike's promo limit advertising spots during major events. And this is not only cemented Nike's image as leading sport company, but also transformed the logo into a symbol of athletic powers and aspiration of many others. And Nike's long-standing cultural impact, as well as its relationship with the performance and also the lifestyle, have been strengthened by high profit events. So before starting to the next one, which is pet collection, so I feel a bit weird because I ate a garlic noodle during my lunch, so I may need to eat some candy. Yeah. Okay, so moving on to the connection product placement to the short-term effect, we use Fast and Furious as an example. We think that this is more just than a film. It's a collection of some of the world's most iconic automobiles. And consider that Dodge Charger is more than simply a car in film. It's like a character, a symbol of raw strength and liberation. The moment it rolls into the screen, it captures the crowd and creates an instant buzz. This is the original rush of short-term effects. Is quick, instant, and leaves a lasting impression that immediately promotes brand engagement and sparks conversation across social platforms. And Dodge does more than simply sell automobiles. They sell a piece of the action, and everyone wants to ride after they watch the Fast and Furious movie. And for the long-term receptions, the Fast and Furious franchise has transformed automobiles into legends. The Toyota Supra, for example, is more than just a sports automobile. It's become a cultural symbol. And fans don't just watch the films, they experience them. They create copies, assemble as shows, and form communications. This is the strength of a heritage. It's about a car brand like Toyota becomes ingrained in the fabric of automotive culture, installing a deep loyalty that lasts generations. And it's more than just product placement. It's about creating a legacy. Every time a Supra appears on film or on street, or even when you're scrolling on other social media platform, when you see their car, it serves as a reminder of drama that filled our hearts and engines.
Okay, so now moving on to brand attitude. I'm sure most of you guys are familiar with the Korean survival show, Squid Games, where players compete in treacherous challenges for a money prize at the end. The product that actually gained a lot of popularity due to the show were the white band sneakers. So there's strong evidence of positive product placement in the show, which enhances brand memory, and there's also evidence of a brand plot connection, which shows the intense physical demands and underscores the durability of the white sneakers. So these shoes become a symbol of resilience, mirroring the player's endurance during the brutal competition. They show a practical and versatile footwear choice, which indirectly associates positive qualities with the white shoes. By featuring a versatile shoe, the Squid Game indirectly associates positive qualities with the shoes, contributes to a favorable brand plot connection. So now moving on to negative brand attitude. So when watching shows, you wouldn't really want to experience excessive repetition, ethically charged products, or obvious commercial motivations as seen in the movie Endgame. So in this scene, Hulk kind of walks in, hands Ant-Man a taco, and just walks away. So this kind of doesn't contribute to the storyline, and it feels awkwardly forced. When viewers detect blatant product placements and commercial interest, it can be actually seen as intrusive and distract from the artistic value of the content. Audiences often appreciate content that feels genuine and focused on its primary purpose, rather than being overtly driven by commercial interest, and by striking a balance between integrating products subtly and maintaining the artistic integrity of the concept, it's crucial to avoid negative perceptions. So now learning about brand attitudes and watching the previous clips from before, have your guys' views towards the brands changed? Like Pepsi, would you go purchase a Pepsi after watching a movie? Or maybe an Omega watch after watching a movie? Or would you kind of stick to what you know? What do you guys think? What about you guys? Would you purchase a Pepsi? Is that your go-to drink? Or would you guys stick to a drink that you know?
I think it really depends because I would never drink Pepsi just as my own, so it really depends on the situation, about the campaign itself, and your personal choice.
Okay.
I think Coca-Cola is the best.
Well, as Angela just alluded to, there are ways to do negative product placement, and a lot of it actually has to do with congruence or incongruence between modality and plot. So to start off with really applying what congruence is, congruence essentially occurs when the plot is in congruence with the modality. So this could be in higher plot audio placements, which are verbally mentioned brands that are highly connected to the plot, or the other instance of having a lower plot visual placement, or these visual brands that serve an accessory role and are indeed lower in plot connection. So in both of these ways, they're not too disruptive, and the audience actually sees them and accepts them, oftentimes having a better perception of the brand after the movie or TV show. And a great example of this would be Aston Martin and James Bond. It is quite the visual placement. It doesn't really have a huge role in the plot. However, it is an accessory role. We see it, we associate it with James Bond, we see it positively, and we accept it for what it is. So it is a positive, congruent example. On the other hand, with incongruence, this occurs when there's audio placements that are lower within the plot, or visual placements are higher within the plot. And this essentially occurs because the plot and the modality don't really mesh well, and we have an example of that in this clip.
너무 많이 먹었네 진짜. 뭐야 얘? 커피 사탕. 아침에 점심되는데 미안한 게 없어. 야, 주머니에 슈퍼 찾았어. 없는 게 없네. 어디 가는 건 다 있다. 나쁘네.
와우, 우리 아도 상태가 똑같습니다. 밤새 알코올로 간을 조져버린 느낌이랄까.
이 친구는 맞고 나는 아니야. 둘을 같은
So as you
상황에서만.
can tell from this clip, it's very obvious that they were talking about their night out last night, they were talking about drinking, and suddenly there's this very obvious product placement that takes away a lot from the plot, and it becomes a part of the plot even though it doesn't really make sense. So in situations like this, the audience is able to increase their elaboration and memory, which is positive in some way. However, because it is so disruptive, they start to think about it and they kind of create a counter argument and think, why is this product placement here? It's too obvious. And then it creates a more negative attitude towards this brand. This is a very popular coffee candy, and it's in a lot of K-dramas. However, it's very well known for the fact that it becomes a very obvious product placement. So there's not exactly a very positive brand attitude there. So some takeaways that we have from congruence and incongruence include the fact that auditory stimuli are more powerful than visual stimuli. When we hear something, it sticks with us better, so it's very important that we leverage auditory stimuli when we are including them in our movies and TV shows. Secondly and thirdly, higher levels of plot connection will trigger more elaboration, and incongruence between modality and plot increases elaboration and memory, but adversely affects attitudes. So for producers who know this, it's very important that we really consider this when putting any kind of product placement into our TV shows and movies, because it's important to consider how the audience will perceive them in the end. And then finally, for our takeaways for this entire presentation, we have the benefits of product placement, which include improved recognition of the brand, potential for a cult following of that brand, and of course an increased reach in the audience, as well as overall profits. And then when it comes to modality, there are a lot of different ways to do product placement, whether it be auditory, visual, or are really the plot connection, and each of them have their unique benefit. And then in terms of trends, now there are diversified media options allowing for a huge range of implantation choices for producers. And then there's also an increasingly globalized world, which means that not only are there more opportunities to, of course, advertise to a whole different culture, but we also need to be aware of that and address cultural differences. And finally, with congruence and incongruence, it's very important that we align modality to plot in order to not only improve viewers' brand memory, but also their attitude when seeing these brands. And that concludes our presentation. Thank you all for viewing. We'd like to take any questions that you have now.